Hi there, and welcome to the Rangers News YouTube channel. It's Jordan Corral here alongside James Black.
How are you doing?
Could be better after the weekend. Unfortunately, first protocol here is to just dissect what happened at Tynecastle. So we're just going to have a look at really where it went wrong and whether Gerrard should shoulder a little bit more of the blame after the defeat. What are your initial thoughts, James?
I mean, for a start, the performance was nowhere near good enough. There's maybe 7 or 8 players just nowhere near it yesterday. I mean, Nikola Katic was an absolute howler. John Flanagan was as good as a man down. Defence was anonymous for long spells of the game. So they were behind the curve right from the very start. I do think the manager maybe could have been a bit more reactive to things, and I think he seemed quite happy to persist with a formation that wasn't really working, and Jermaine Defoe was left isolated for, the whole game really. They didn't ever really have much contact with the midfield, or they just nowhere near it.
So first half, obviously, we're going in 0-0 at the break, and obviously, we're very much in the game at that point. But were the warning signs there that really, from the first 45, that maybe we should have kicked on and did things differently in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, you seen they came out and Ryan Kent got us into the lead a minute and a bit in or so.
Lovely goal.
But yeah, really nice
Lovely
goal. Fantastic run by Barisic to kind of create the space and what have you. And now things got off to a really good start and then just went downhill for there. It was, they took their foot off the gas immediately, almost let Hearts right back into it after, having been kind of under the cosh for a lot of the first half too. So
I think that's one thing that basically when the Kent goal went in, he'd obviously missed a really, really good chance in the first half where he at least should have hit the target. Then the whole thing's maybe a different story. But when that went in, I just sort of thought, based on the weight of evidence of the games earlier this year, that was it. Once Rangers have got in front this season, there hasn't really been any looking back. And when we look at the overall season, there really hasn't been points dropped on any sort of regular basis. So when that went in, you sort of thought, oh, this is fine, it'll spark us into life and that sort of stuff. But it almost galvanised Hearts more. Mm-hmm. But one thing that obviously stood out for me, and I think stood out for most people watching it, was just the lack of control in midfield. Which, when you name guys like Jack, Davis, Kamara in your starting 11, that's one thing that you sort of expect to have, no matter who you're playing up against. Control, and it's something that we've shown away at Porto, on teams like this, but not at Tynecastle. So what was the reason for that yesterday?
I mean, there's a few. One of the big ones for me is just the absence of James Tavernier. I think has impact on the side. I think people that maybe unfairly criticised him at points over the last couple of seasons now really see just how important he is to the way that this team plays. Not having him going forward on the right, and John Flanagan being there and kind of looking lost and offering very, very little. It just kind of left that kind of midfield area really crowded. It didn't leave space for others to move into, and it just nullified any attacking threat Rangers really have down the right. So it's just the midfield itself, they offered so little. They were second to every ball, second to every 50-50. Struggled to string one a couple of passes together, and there was nobody breaking forward and trying to break through the Hearts lines. That midfield three, Jack, Kamara and Davis, they all seem content to try and kind of play over the top of them than trying to actually get beyond and get bodies into penetrate the Hearts defence.
Yeah, it was quite flat in the middle, wasn't it? And I absolutely love Steven Davis, have done for years, but it was very strange watching him yesterday. He was letting balls bounce, not getting the stuff, not nipping stuff in the bud. Like, his thing to me is he has the passing range, he has everything, but it's his decision making, which is almost flawless normally. He got several things wrong in that area yesterday in midfield. Kamara obviously caught out possession for the goal, but
big time. That was just horrific.
A lot of people point to that, but it also wasn't the first time in the
game.
He'd been bullied off the ball a few times, which is not like him, because again, he's a player that uses his body really well and turns into space, gets himself out of trouble and his teammates out of trouble. But there was a real lack of that, and I think the thing that's frustrating a lot of fans is that the signs were there with Stranraer, which we maybe thought was going to be, it's lower league opposition, loads of men behind the ball, it's going to be tough to come out and put in a really good performance. It wasn't great, but we got there. Same thing against St Mirren.
Yeah, I think the St Mirren game was probably a bigger warning sign.
Yeah.
There was a lot of changes for Stranraer and kind of a lot of guys that haven't played much football. But when St Mirren came to Ibrox, it was that same three, and it was much the same. It was the same lineup. And all right, they won that game, and they looked more controlled and more composed. They did still seem to lack that real kind of attacking cutting edge. They never looked likely to kind of really cut through St Mirren, and the same deficiencies were there yesterday.
So really, we're talking about Gerrard coming out afterwards as well, and talking to him, he's coming out and he's clearly very angry, and he's slated the players. Said
so.
5, 6, 7 passengers in the team, and it's tough to argue with that. There were very few players that stood out, and obviously the anger is understandable. But is there a sense that some responsibility? I think he does actually say at one point that we weren't prepared, for the way that Hearts came at us, and that's my fault. But should people start looking also towards him because
absolutely, because he's I know there's been a lot of kind of debate about who would replace Tavernier when he's been out injured, and I don't think there's anybody in the world could have said that John Flanagan was going to come in and play that similar kind of attacking role. So why Gerrard picked him to come in and play that kind of attacking role? There's only one person that you can kind of point the finger at for that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Gerrard's the big bad guy here and he's to blame for throwing the title away or anything ridiculous like that. But yeah, there's got to be a wee bit more kind of criticism that comes his way with some of these selections, and it's not just the Hearts game. I think there's kind of other games right throughout his tenure here where kind of he's not as quick to react to things as he should be, or he's a bit kind of rigid in his substitutions, even a bit rigid in how he sets his team up. Yesterday, there kind of those spells where, there were long spells where the midfield were just outnumbered by Hearts.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you can have maybe changed that, not matched up against him 4-on-4, moved Ryan Kent into a kind of more central position, playing off of Jermaine Defoe, and tried to get kind of a bit more parity in midfield. But this is how I want to play it, and this is what I'm sticking with. So yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously there were 2 changes at half time. One was enforced. One in Flanagan, I think, was glaringly obvious. It needed to be made because of the fact that it wasn't working, and also the fact that he was on a booking. But it's a question of, I think, although he praised Ojo for what he did when he came on off the bench against St Mirren, there are very, very few Rangers fans who would support the idea of us chasing a goal and bringing Che Ojo off the bench due to the amount of times that it's failed to provide any sort of impetus earlier in the season. But again, that's what we're going for. We're going for it late in the game, and we're bringing Ojo off the bench.
He's got Jordan Jones there, who it seems that he's kind of certainly behind Ojo in the pecking order, and I don't know, Ojo's not really done anything to impress since the opening kind of run of games where he got a couple of goals, a couple of assists, and impressed to begin with. Fallen off badly, and he's still ahead of Jordan Jones. So
to me, I think Jones struggled, in his first game back, and he's been out for a long time. But for me, he is an electric player. He is the sort of guy who, off the bench, you actually should be looking to. To me, that he is that sort of signing. Certainly when he's played for Northern Ireland and he's done well, it is coming off as an impact sub. Sometimes from at the start of games, he can sort of meander through and that sort of stuff. But you see, if you give him 20 minutes at the end, that's supposed to be what his area of. Yeah, that's it. He's a game changer. That's what he's supposed to do.
Bring him on, let him run at the Hearts' defence and try and cause some problems. But, I don't know.
But he's just sitting there. And the other thing, I think maybe a wider question that some people are asking, maybe on commentary and stuff yesterday, is that outside of maybe substitutions and things like that, this is the second time, 2 seasons that this coaching staff has been in place, and it's the second time we've come back from the winter break and things have looked night and day compared to what they were beforehand.
Second time we've went to Tynecastle this season and looked like rabbits caught in the headlights as well.
So I don't know, it's tough. I think what we're saying really, isn't it, that Gerrard's come out and blamed the players, and that's rightly so.
Yep.
But without needing to go over the top, there's certainly things which could have maybe been done differently yesterday, and we need to find some way to get the players G'd up after this break.
I think there's very, very few people who come out of this weekend blameless.
Okay, so hopefully run of home games coming up, and
there's a lesson learned, and we'll kick on for there.
Yeah, sweep a few things behind us and kick on, as you say.